Alright, so we have an image of the map and we have an excellent connection, so that means this live is up. So what I did for this little training mission is I've set up my Mirage F1 here in the air. I've already set up a few things so that I won't have to do that when I get in the cockpit, the navigation has been set. I've set up my bombs already, and I'll have to check if I turn the lights off because we're going in enemy territory here. You can see the border right there, and we're going to be dropping the Durandal anti-runway bombs on the airfield here at Haina. And there are some MiGs parked there, mostly MiG-21s that I put there for fun, that I could do another pass with guns and try to shoot at them. You can see there are a few BTR-80s and some AAA guns that could actually shoot at us in this area, so we'll have to be careful. But nothing too big, because what I want to practice is just dropping bombs. And there is a little bit of wind. We'll see when we get to the target. There are already things on fire, and you'll see that the smoke is pushing in that direction, right? So towards the north. And since the runway here is runway 100, it's heading I'd say southeast. If my wind is heading towards the north or in that general direction there, let's say I'm aiming down the runway to drop bombs. Normally I would do it on the center line, but if the wind is pushing that way, maybe I'll have to aim more on this side so that if the bomb's parachutes catch the wind, maybe it'll push them more towards the center. That's the plan anyways. Of course, I have to line up everything when I'm coming in to bomb. And so I've already set up my depression in the cockpit. I'll go here for 152, as you can see here, and this puts the pipper right there. And usually when I'm flying at low level, dropping bombs on a runway, that works pretty well. I said I wanted to check if the lights were on or off. I guess they're in the off position. So if we go check the outside view, yes. Okay, so the lights are off. So we're going to be fairly stealthy for this without the lights on. And as you can see, I've got the 4 Durandals on the belly and 2 on the wings, plus 2 large fuel tanks. So if I need to use afterburner, I don't have to worry too much during this mission. And this is a Spanish Mirage F1 EE, kind of like what they do, painting the fake cockpit under the nose, a little bit like the Canadian Hornets do. So that's a nice paint job, nice plane. And I've put some of the Sidewinders on the wingtips so that if we want to attack the enemy helicopter that we can see here on the map that's flying close to the airfield, we'll be able to practice that. I'll probably need to practice a little bit more if I want to engage other fighters eventually, but today it's mostly air to ground I want to do. The helicopter is a potential extra target, and maybe then I'll fly back to base just to practice my landings, because I did practice that a little bit yesterday, and I find that landing the Mirage sometimes is a little bit of a fight. And so especially when you haven't done it in a little while. So that's going to be my plan there. So you have an idea. I'm going to fly to this IP waypoint that I've positioned there, and then the next waypoint is the enemy base. I've put an egress waypoint, but I could actually just go directly back to base if I want. And after dropping the bombs on the runway, maybe I'll do 1 or 2 strafe runs on the parked MiGs. And we'll see and all that if we spot the helicopter to shoot at it, but that's the plan. So hopefully you enjoy the little flight. So again, this is the plane I'm going to be flying. Beautiful Mirage. Flies pretty well. Low level if you need to. And it's fast. I kind of like the fact that it's very fast without taking up too much energy. You don't have to be afterburner all the time if you want to fly fast with this. And one of the reasons why I've been wanting to fly this a little bit more is that this map, which is more or less a Cold War era map, is going to be a perfect playground for those types of planes that I fly sometimes maybe a little bit less often, that are from that era. And so this is going to be fun. I think I'm gonna enjoy flying the Mirage on this map. So today we're bombing an airfield, so let's go do that. I'm pausing now. So I had the autopilot on, so I just turned it off so that we can have fun flying low level here, just on top of the trees. So I've got my navigation set here. We can see the distance winding down. It can be fun following the terrain features here. And maybe I'll just pause for a second there, but if we look on the map, as you can see, this airfield, it's like in a little bit of a valley, but there are all kinds of interesting hills around it that I can fly through. So that's why I set this flight path a little bit like that, so that we'll pop up behind that hill when we get to the runway. Should make it interesting. So let's continue flying here. And you've got those towns here. Few lights are on already because it's late during the days. You can see the sun is coming down, so adds a little bit of atmosphere to the mission. So I'm simulating that most of the air defenses at the base have already been taken out. There's I've put an SA-8 and a ZSU-23 that are destroyed, and a few other things have been hit. You can see in the distance there the smoke. So the target will already be smoking a little bit when we get there. There will be a few fires. So it's like we're not the first strike aircraft to arrive, and I guess now it's going to be time to switch waypoints, so we're going to turn right, head towards this enemy airfield. Enjoy the nice rolling hills here. Try to stay stealthy just in case they have some backup radars operating at the airfield trying to spot us. I'm gonna try to come in a bit stealthy. I'm still trying to, yeah, there we go. We're trying to spot that smoke ahead of us. See if we'll be able to line up with the runway. So yeah, you get some fires there, a little bit of smoke here, and I think that's the runway over there. These lines that go up, these are chimneys. Since I've practiced this mission a few times already, like I noticed there are like industrial areas close to the airfield. I find it odd that they would put such high chimneys really close to an airfield. Like if someone's coming on final, you run the risk of colliding with those very large chimneys, but hey. So I think we're starting to get lined up fairly well with the runway there. As I said, I'll try to aim for the right side of the runway because there is wind. You can see the smoke heading in that direction there. So I want my bombs to be dropped on the right side, so hopefully they hit the center. It's not very windy, but as you can see, the smoke's moving around a little bit towards the left. So there we go. So I'm gonna go low, and we are already fairly fast at 500 knots, so that's good. Again, that chimney that we're gonna try to avoid. And then we'll line up with the runway on the right side. So let's get ready to pickle some bombs. And pickle, 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 and pickle. Let's see what that looks like. Alright, so we see that Our bombs have hit the runway. It looks fairly centered to me. Drop some countermeasures. I'll go back to the cockpit because now I want to set up my sights for 32. It takes a bit of time to roll that wheel there. I'm using the mouse wheel to do that because I'm going to be using guns for my next pass. And so we'll go with this. And so now you can see in the HUD that the gun pipper, it's actually close to that little yellow line up there. And that to me is the way that I line up the guns most of the time anyways, but this makes it a bit more obvious, I guess. There we go. So I'm looking for my smoke. There it is behind me. We've got the sun. That's not helping, but we're gonna do another pass and try to get on those parked aircraft in the parking area of the airfield. The sun right now is really blinding me a lot. I think I still see the lights of the runway. Okay, so the parking I think is going to be to the right here in that area there. Drop a few countermeasures just in case somebody has a man pads, but I know I didn't put any, so it's more or less like for the training purposes. I think I see the row of MiGs parked there. Got a few planes on fire there. There we go. That's what we wanted to do. And so now I can switch to my next waypoint. There we go. That's the egress waypoint. Drop some more countermeasures, and yes, we can see there are tracers heading for us. I guess the first time maybe they let us go by easy, but the second time they knew that we were coming. So that's why we're not going to stick around too long. Alright, so the egress waypoint is more or less to just get ourselves heading away. So I'm just going to go for the next one, which is at 85 miles to base. So you can see that our bombs have been dropped. So now we're going to line up here for our next waypoint. Still flying at treetop level, exiting East Germany. Autopilot on. I just want to check. Okay, so the border is going to be in that area there. The reason why I'm here, so I'm heading in that direction, so it's going to be around there. The reason why I want to check the border area is because we can actually see, since it's a Cold War map, you can actually see the fortifications that they've erected at the border. So you sort of know when you're getting in and out of the country. I think it's kind of cool to have something like that. So I guess I could increase speed just a little bit. There we go. think the border will be like, yeah, those mountains ahead of us here. It's cool to see those roads with the lights on. Nice little villages. So yeah, we should be getting to the border very shortly, so we'll probably see that line there. There it is. So you've got the line going through and the fences and the little towers. So now we're back in West Germany. Although as you can see here, there's like a lot of those fences making all kinds of sharp turns. And there you have a border crossing. But yeah, nice little details on this map. I really like that. Alright, so I'm going to get the autopilot off. I'm going to climb a little bit more since we have 60 miles to go. And then I'll accelerate time just a little bit so that we can go practice our landing. Looks like a good altitude. There we go, autopilot on, altitude hold on. Now one of the things I had done yesterday, I think I did it manually, is I set the frequency for the tower 252250. So let's try that. 25250. I won't call just now because we're still 50 miles away, but let's just accelerate time a little bit. So now we're going to head towards Frankfurt at neck brake speeds because we can. When you accelerate time like that, it's like the map doesn't load all in one shot, so you see these areas that look like there's water, but there is some water and the rivers and everything, but it makes it look like the simulation doesn't have time to load up everything. There is a lot of detail on this map. So I'm gonna adjust my flight plan towards the waypoint to my right. So we're 11 away from our waypoint. That's gonna put us on final for Wiesbaden. And that's Frankfurt ahead of us. Been flying a lot in this area. I'll have to explore some of the other areas soon, but I'm starting to know the area fairly well. There are some things you can recognize in the rivers, the towns, the industrial buildings sometimes. And there you have the Frankfurt like international airport there. And Wiesbaden is usually like in that area over here. I think that's it. That's it over there, yeah. Anyways, it's where the waypoints are taking us, right? Turn right again because we're not quite on the position. So I'll see if I can call the tower as I switch waypoints. So okay, now we're can say we're there. Switching waypoint there. So let's see if the ATC will listen to us.
Field 1, inbound.
Alright, so I'm gonna get my air brakes out, put my nose toward the airfield. Now that's the tricky part with the INS, sometimes not being like right on the money. You have to visually spot the runway like we just did. As you can see, it's much to the right of where the waypoint was saying it was. So we'll call for a landing.
In field 1, request landing.
I'm still a bit fast. I'm going to make a hard right followed by a hard left because I want to get to about 250 before I drop the gear. Okay, that seems about right. So let's drop the gear, drop our flaps. And now we can get the air brakes back in. Ooh, I'm not lined up super well. Lots of things to focus on. And so hopefully I can get this plane back on track before I land. Let's get our feet on the pedals. Let's get the speed to go down just a little bit. Get the flaps fully down. Feel like I'm a bit fast. Oof, that was hard. I touched down like much harder than I usually like. But hey, we're in one piece, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna need some practice with those landings. First of all, I wasn't lined up very well, and second of all, I made it look like I was crashing into the runway. So I'll probably need to study my procedures on how to do that a bit better. Okay, so air brakes back in, flaps back up. Guess we could get that parachute off. Trying to remember which button is my sensitive nose wheel. I'm just hitting the wrong button here. Ah yeah, I think it's the paddle there. Yeah, I was hitting the wrong button. So let's try that, and then we'll be able to turn a little bit faster. There we go. That turns the nose much quicker. I hadn't turned off my weapons. I didn't even turn that on for the landing. Maybe that explains why I was flying like a noob. Maybe you could go park in that hangar there. Always find it funny, like where I'm looking there at the far end of the hangar, there's this machinery that's got lights that flash, but when you look at it from a distance like this, it makes it look like there's a poker machine or something in there. some disco ball machine, whatever, with lots of colors. It does make the hangars feel like they're alive with activity, though. So yeah, one of the other reasons for the sensitive nose wheel steering is that I can try to do the quick turnaround with the plane. So try not to hit our wingtip. As I look at the wingtip in my missile, I realize I just decided not to go hunt for that helicopter. We're just trying to park this in a decent fashion here. So yeah, let's do this. Put the wheel chocks.
Chief, place the wheel chocks.
And they're not listening to me. That's odd.
Chief, place the wheel chocks.
Nope. No response. Okay, so what I wanted to do was to hit this and go check out some of the damage we might have done here at the airfield. So if you look at the runway here, there's a nice big hole. Here there's another one, another one, another one, and they're very close to the center. So as you saw, like I was aiming more to the right of the airfield as I was going down, and I guess the bombs hit very close to center. And in the parking area here, there's only one MiG left, which looks like it's got a good set of holes in it, but the other ones, I guess that I had caught fire, they've just disappeared, they're gone. And so yeah, and if you were curious, look here, I put like a ZSU-23 on fire, and that big smoke here is an SA-8 that's been dispatched, and here it's like the fuel reserve on fire. And you have like one of the ammo buildings that got destroyed. That's why we have those nice fireworks. Kaboom, kaboom. It helps to spot the base with the smoke, but it also creates good visuals when you get close to it. Even if it's just a training mission. I like to make the mission look like I gave a damn when I did it. And as you might have seen a little bit earlier, there were some AAAs when I was cycling through the ground objects, including those BTRs that could fire at a plane if they see it. And those guys, yeah, they were not too far. I think this guy at one point was shooting at us. You can see how he's overlooking the airfield from the valley up top, and I think I saw a few tracers coming from that gun. Oh, and I heard a helicopter sound. So yeah, the helicopter is flying around the airfield, but I didn't really visually spot it, so I didn't pursue that. Yesterday I've actually stumbled on it, and it was kind of fun to shoot a Sidewinder at it. But yeah, so fun little training mission. Hopefully I'll get better at flying the Mirage F1 and be able to combine everything in a nice mission where I do air to air, air to ground, combine all that, and maybe air refueling as well. So hopefully you enjoyed the little flight. It was just like a fun little thing I wanted to do to practice. So that's kind of stuff I do when I have like a half hour here or there to practice my flying. And this is a very analog cockpit, but very fun plane to fly. Despite all the various switches, I'll have to remember to turn that on next time I land and maybe practice quite a few landings because I'm a bit rusty, but hopefully you enjoyed this one. Cool handout.